Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Afsa Rosette. If you're new here, thank you for joining. And if you've returned, thank you for sticking with me. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to make your locks more thicker and fuller. So if you've joined me for the first time, so make sure you hit that subscribe and like button so that I can continue making more videos like this. If you have watched some of my videos, you would know that I started on very short locks, very small short locks, and they were quite thin. And as the years have progressed, I mean, I'm 2 years locked in now. If you want to check out my 2-year video, I'll link it somewhere here. My locks have gotten so much thicker in comparison to when I initially started. And I say this because I feel like, I guess one of my main concerns when I first started is I wanted thicker locks. And although I didn't have an idea of, when I went to the hair salon, I never told them specifically, like, you know, I want my locks to look like this. I didn't have like an ideal person. Looking back, I did, but I never showed them the picture. I just said I want locks, and they made me fill in like a form with what kind of ideal locks I'd like, and I said pencil size. I think at the time it was either pencil size or tip size or like a marker size, and I thought, okay, marker seems a bit too big. I just said pencil size, not realizing that pencil size was probably a little bit too small than what I had in mind. But anyways, over the years I decided that, you know what, how can I make my locks a bit more thicker? So this video is going to be a few tips that I've used along the way that have helped me kind of get thicker locks and also maintain my locks and prevent them from getting thin. I've got my AirPods in. I don't know why I've got these in. Actually, I do know. I was listening to music. If you have started your lock journey, congratulations. How does it feel to be locked? And if you are starting or you're on the verge of starting, please make sure that you do a lot of research in terms of the sizing of your locks, because if you're like me and you're planning on having them for a while, then you want to make sure that you actually are happy with the size that you have from initiation, and also bearing in mind that they're gonna get thicker. But so the first step I would be is just making sure that you're very clear on the sizing of your locks, because I wasn't, and I guess about month 2 or 3, I was kind of like, damn, I really wish I had gotten thicker. And because I'd already been locked, I thought, you know what, my locks have started budding. I don't really want to go back and get them redone. I wish I did now looking back, but it is what it is. But I say this to say, just make sure that you're very, very sure of what sizing you want. And perhaps ask the loctician to let you know, to show you, okay, this is what pencil size looks like. What is the ideal shape that I'm going to have at the end once they're fully matured? This is more like a prevention technique instead, to make sure that you are maintaining a thicker lock look. It's the styling. A lot of times we style, especially 2-strand twists. We love a good 2-strand twist, especially after you've unraveled it, the rope twists, and then they're nice and curly. A lot of locked heads, myself included, I like to do those 2 strands or rope twist look because it allows me to rock the curly look. The issue with this is, over the years, what's going to happen is, sorry, I'm just looking at myself and I feel like the sun is starting to set where I am. Just gonna sort my lighting out real quick. So where were we? What did I leave it on? Okay, rope twists, 2-strand twists, whatever you want to call it. The issue with rope twists, it's as you start to, you know, because essentially what you're doing is, it's like a rope. So you're twisting the lock, both of the locks, and you're now entangling them around each other to try and maintain that, firstly the tightness so that they stay. In addition to the curl, so that when you unravel them, they're going to maintain that curly look. It's beautiful. The issue is, over time, when this has been done, it's putting a lot of strain on the lock. And as you are kind of like twisting the lock to make it go around the other lock, remember, locks are like hairs that have been entangled within one. And as you're doing this, you're forcing it to even bind those hair strands to kind of create this tighter bond within itself. And that creates thinner locks, unfortunately. So what my suggestion would be either to ease down on the on the rope twists, or find alternative ways that you can curl your locks. In addition to that, my recommendation would be, again, do it very infrequently, or if you do it now, try and do it a bit much looser. The issue is, if you are doing it to maintain a curly look at the end of it, then you might have to keep those rope twists a bit longer so that you can hold the curl. or because otherwise, if you're doing it a bit tighter so that you can kind of get curly locks within the next 2 to 3 days, chances are over time as you're doing it, your locks are going to get thinner. You're going to have thinner spots, especially if you've already started with thinner locks. That's one of the things I wouldn't say I've experienced, because I actually try not to do those rope twists as much. But there was a period, I'd say earlier this year, when I started to rock them a lot more, and I noticed that as a result, my locks, certain parts that were already thin, started to increase. The thinness started to increase. One other way is that you can kind of incorporate curly looks so that you can still rock a curly look, is incorporating things like flexi rods, so that you're curling it with on the flexi rod itself rather than the lock curling on itself. In addition to that, the foam curls, the pin curls, excuse me, those are all alternative methods that you can use to curl your locks rather than doing rope twists. Another thing I would say is braids. If you're someone again that braids your hair down, your locks down, you're going to experience the same thing. Again, prevention is better than cure. If you've already started with much thicker locks, the chances are you're probably not going to experience this. This is more for the girlies and the guys that have already started with much thinner locks like myself. You're going to be, I guess, the chances of you getting thinner locks will increase significantly by utilizing those specific styles. So I'd say I can't tell you to avoid those styles entirely, but what you can do is do them more so infrequently. In addition to that, maybe utilize other ways and means of curling your hair. The next thing is tight styles, right? If you're trying to avoid thinning locks and you want much thicker locks, try and avoid tight styles. Just to show you this, this style that I'm rocking today, I've got 2 hairbands here. So how I did this was, because my hair is still relatively, some people say my hair isn't short yet, but I still believe it's short. The issue is when I put my hair up, the back, half of the back can't fully go up. What I tend to do is I put half of it up with like one hairband and I don't double wrap it. And then after that's up, I put another hairband on top, so it kind of goes like this. And once I've done that, the back of my locks, I then, once the first half is up, so I've done the one hairband, I haven't double done it, and then I take another hairband and I put it literally on top of my locks like this, so it's usually like that. And then that second hairband essentially is helping me be able to provide a way to put the back ones. So then I put the back ones up and then I tuck them into that first hairband. I do this to prevent my locks getting thin, because what happens is if I now double wrap it, the 2 hairbands, the reason I've done it that way, it serves as more to make my hair more secure so that it doesn't come out. It gives me a bit of a hold. For the thinner locks that I do have, I find that when I double wrap it, I have indentations. And when there's indentations and you're doing this repeatedly over the years, over time, what you're going to find is those areas, in fact, I've got one lock here somewhere. As you can see, this is a much thinner lock. So this area, this bit, I can feel it myself when I touch. I can feel that there's areas where when the hairband touches it, especially if I've double tied it, it kind of, again, compresses the hair together, which causes the thinness. So I try to avoid that. The other thing I would say to try to maintain thicker locks is making sure that when you are using the 2-strand or the rope method, or you're doing the braids, you're not tying your elastic bands too tight. This is the most common one, over retwisting. If you're over retwisting your locks, chances are, especially if you started with thin locks, you're going to increase the chances of having thinner locks. So if you want to maintain a more, I guess, thicker look, try and extend your retwist. Now, I'm also conscious that not every, I guess, going 4 to 5, 6 months works for everybody, because it's very dependent on your hair texture, type, density, and so forth. But play around with how your hair feels when you kind of extend your retwist. The longer you leave it, the chances are that your hair is not going to, again, you're trying to avoid that whole compression. The more you do it over time, you're twisting, you're palm rolling, you're going to find that it's compressing within itself much quicker, which means that you're going to increase the chances of having thinner locks. Now, if you want to maintain that thicker look, I would say even when you are retwisting or palm rolling, depending on your ideal technique, try and do it in a way that you're not wrapping the hair too tight around itself. That way your hair is still going to lock, but it's not going to be, again, compressed that hard. Yeah, that's how I've kind of learned to maintain it. In addition to that, I also try not to overdo tight styles. So like I said, here, right, if you want to maintain more thicker locks, here, as you can see, this is a very old retwist. There are some areas here that are longer, that are overdue, but I'm not planning on retwisting anytime soon. I'm probably going to do it in January, maybe end of December, depends. And also ensuring that you are using products that are very much still good for your hair, that are not too, they're not going to weigh your hair down. Say this because when you are using very heavy waxes or gels, what's going to happen is your hair is going to feel that heaviness. So when it comes to washing, when it comes to the manipulation, it's just going to, like, the chances that it's going to create build-up. And when build-up is, it's going to create heaviness within your lock, especially if you already have thin locks. The chances increase of your hair either ripping, breaking as a result of such thick products. I've learned this the hard way because I myself was using a gel earlier in my I guess early months of my lock journey that was quite thick. It was like a waxy gel. Now I've got a video on the best lock gels based on my research that I've worked for me. I'll link it somewhere here that will be able to help you as well along the way. One of the gels that I found that I was using at the time, I've got it in that video, check it out, that really helped, and it was quite of a light hold. It gave me a good hold, not a very tight hold, without compromising the health of my locks. Now if you've been watching me for a minute, you'll know that I'm also launching my own lock gel. As a result of my research and as a result of some of the pain points that I've been experiencing, called Kuza Care. If you'd like to find out when we launch, and stay tuned so that when we are launched you get 10% off your first order, then sign up to the mailing list on my bio. Unfortunately, if you have seen some of my videos already, I was planning on launching in November. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I've had to delay the launch date, so it's not, I mean, we're past November now. By the time you're watching this, we are in December. So I'm planning on launching hopefully end of December. I'm really excited to showcase this gel, but I feel like the gel has definitely helped me. I've used it before launching because I wanted to make sure that it's still providing me with the hold that I need without compromising the health of my locks and the size of my locks. So check it out and make sure you sign up to the link in my bio. I guess my next tip, which is, I guess it's one of my final tips. It's not really a prevention thing, but it's more of a maintenance thing. If you are experiencing thin locks and you want to kind of help yourself maintain the look or treat your thin locks, firstly check out this video. I did like a lock combination video. One of the things that I would recommend you do is find out different methods of combining your locks. You can either crochet them, you can two-strand twist them or rope twist them, you can sew them together using a thread. There's different ways that you can do this, and I've done, in one of my videos, I've actually showed you, I guess, the one way that I've done it, which was actually two ways to crochet them. I crochet them both, but there was one where I put the two locks together, and there's one where I wrap the locks around each other and then I crochet them that way. Now the two different methods are going to give you two different looks. One could give you more of a flat look because you're just putting two locks like this. The other one's going to give you more of a cylindrical look. So depending on which one you prefer, depending on what stage you're at as well in your lock journey, one might be easier to do than the other. Now when I first got my locks, there are some that were quite thin, especially around the perimeter of my hair, the ones at the back, which I combined very early on, which was easier to maintain that cylindrical look. Unfortunately, over the months, there were some that I still found that were quite thin, and I crocheted them together. As a result, now I've got two headed dragons around my hair. I still love them. There are some that I combined whilst they were still, I'd say my hair was fully locked. So as a result, I kind of had flat locks, and then I split them apart because I didn't really like the look. I like the look, but I didn't want to have flat locks all over my head. But if you've made it this far in my video, I hope the tips have helped. Let me know what are some things that you've struggled with along your journey. If you are, I guess, still quite deep in your journey? Have you experienced thinning? If so, what are some of the ways that you've kind of handled it? For me, these are some of the things that I've done that have really worked for me, and I hope that as I progress through 3rd year, 4th year and 5th year, I can maintain the sizing of my locks. Now, I didn't start with thick locks. I started with quite locks that are more on the smaller side. Looking back, I'm glad I did it, you know. I used to have lock envy, and I feel like lock envy is real, and I'll mention it in all my videos. But one of the things that I wanted to really do was make sure that I am falling in love with my locks. They're an extension of me. And by doing this and some of the tips that I've shared, it's allowed me to do just that, to fall in love with my hair. So yes, I love the size. It allows me to play around in more styles because it gives me the flexibility, because the locks are not as thick. If I had gone thicker, I probably would love it the same way, in different ways. I hope that the tips help you along the way. Let me know if you have used some, and if you have any other tips that you feel like might be able to help me and many others, make sure you let me know in the comments below. Like I said, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and sign up to my newsletter for when we launch the Loc Gel. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.